Children, we go ahead with the next topic of this lesson, socialism in Russia. Children, before 1914, all political parties in Russia were banned or they were considered as illegal. Now, in 1898, a party that was formed was called as the Russian Social Democratic Workers' Party, and it was also banned and considered illegal during the time of the autocrat ruler Tsar Nicholas II. Okay, what is an autocrat ruler? That means he has all the powers themselves. Whatever he says has to be followed by the people of the country. Children, this Russian Social Democratic Workers' Party, formed in 1898, was based on the ideas given by Karl Marx. Now, Karl Marx mentioned that the root cause of all evil is capitalism. Now, what is capitalism? That means it is that the means of production is owned by rich individuals, and although the production is done by the workers, but the entire profit goes to these rich individuals. So he believed that they must create a society where the means of production would be collectively owned by the workers or by the government, and whatever profit is generated is distributed equally, and they will work towards the welfare of the people. Now, these rich factory owners, they earned huge profits because of the hard work being put by the workers, but they did nothing for the welfare of the workers. So he wanted a society where everyone would be equal, and that was based on the principle of socialism. Children, since this party was considered illegal, but it worked secretly, and it worked in three ways. Through newspapers, it would write articles trying to tell the people what socialism is and how they should go about. They mobilized the workers. They asked the workers to go from place to place and educate the people. And at times, they would organize strikes in the factories also. Okay, so in these three ways they worked very secretly in order to bring about socialism in Russia. Children, very often we use this word as revolution or revolutionaries. The main meaning behind revolution is change, to bring about a change. People are not liking the earlier system. They wanted a new system to be coming up. They wanted some kind of a change they required from the existing ones. So that is called as revolution. Now, children, one interesting thing that I wanted to tell you: how were the Russian peasants or farmers different from the European farmers? Okay, they were very different. They would form a commune, they would form a group, okay, which was called as Mir, and they would group up their land together, and they would produce together and divide the profit among themselves, okay, and that's why they were called as natural socialists. I'll explain this later. Then they did not bother about the nobility, or in spite of the fact that they owned all the land. In fact, they fought and wanted for their rights. They wanted the land of the nobles so that they could cultivate properly, and at times they would refuse to pay the rents, and in return also, when they would be very angry, they would also murder the landlords. So somewhere they were very different. European farmers did not disrespect the nobility or the royal family. They paid their rents, and they were really scared of their landlords, okay, but they did not pool in together to help each other out. Okay, so here they used to form a commune. That what is commune? It is a group or a society. Okay, so this is how, if you are asked a question, how are the Russian peasants different from European peasants? So these are the main points. Children, some socialists in Russia felt that the peasants who had a custom of dividing their land were actually natural socialists. That means from the very beginning they knew about the principle of socialism. Yes, because they would collectively collect all the lands, produce goods, and divide the profit equally among themselves. So that means they were natural socialists. From the very beginning they knew about this principle of socialism. Children, so as I told you, some socialists felt that the peasants were actually natural socialists. They knew about this principle of socialism from the very beginning before this concept came up, because they used to divide their lands into commune. In a community, they used to make a commune which was called as a mir, and would collectively grow crops and divide the profits among themselves. So they thought that the present should be the main force of the revolution. They should be projected as the main force of the revolution, and in this way probably they will become a socialist country before many other European countries in the world. So Russia would be the first country to adopt the principle of socialism. So in 1900, the peasants formed a party which was called as the Socialist Revolutionary Party. So actually there were two parties now formed. One was for the peasants, Socialist Revolutionary Party, and the other was the Socialist Democratic Workers' Party, which was meant for the workers who are working in the mills and factories. Okay. Now this Socialist Party fought for the rights of the peasants, and they said that the land belonging to the nobles should be given to them and the rent that they are paying should be reduced. So these two were the main objective of the Socialist Revolutionary Party. Now, children, the Socialist Democratic Workers' Party disagreed to this fact, disagreed with the Socialist Revolutionary Party, and they said that the peasants should not be the main force of the revolution. Okay, they disagreed, and one of the person who disagreed was Vladimir Lenin. He said that no, we cannot have the peasants as the representative of this movement because they are not one united group, because some farmers are poor, some are rich, some worked as laborers, and some owned land and they employed laborers also. So due to their differentiation, they are not as one united group, cannot be a part of this socialist movement. So he was the one who criticized this and did not like this. Now, due to the ideas of Vladimir Lenin, who did not want the peasants to be the main force of the revolution of the socialist movement, so because of the differences within his party, the Socialist Democratic Workers' Party got divided into two parties. One became the Bolshevik Party and the other was the Menshevik Party. Now we will see the difference between Bolshevik Party and Menshevik Party. So children, let us see the difference between the Bolshevik Party and the Menshevik Party. Now Bolshevik Party had more members in support, so that is why they were the majority group. More members were joining Bolshevik and they agreed on their ideas. But Menshevik, few members agreed on the ideas given by the Menshevik, so they were the minority group. Now Bolshevik was led by Vladimir Lenin, whereas Menshevik was led by Martov. Okay. Now what was their philosophy? They believed that the party should be very disciplined. People should be disciplined in carrying on their work and should not have more members, should control its quantity, should not have more members. It should have few members who will work for the party. But Menshevik felt that since it's a political party, it should be open to all. Whoever wants to join must be allowed to join. Okay. And the way of working of the Bolshevik was they used violence, whereas the Menshevik focused on democratic ways. That means they would found a solution to every problem, but they used violence. Bolshevik used violence. So this was the difference between the Bolshevik and the Menshevik. Children, we go ahead to the next topic, that is a turbulent time, the 1905 revolution. What is turbulent? A kind of upheaval, ups and downs were started taking place. A terrible time in Russia, and we are going to learn about the 1905 revolution, which is also called as Bloody Sunday, full of blood. So people wanted to do away with the autocrat rule, and they wanted the autocrat ruler or the king to now rule as a constitution. Now children, what is constitutional monarchy? It means that now the parliament should be formed. And how is a parliament formed? Where the representatives are elected by the people of the country and they sit in the parliament and make laws, which are written down in the constitution. And like we have Indian parliament here, which makes laws for our country, there this parliament is called as Duma. Okay, so now they wanted the king or the autocrat ruler Tsar Nicholas II to act in accordance with the laws written down in the constitution. They didn't want him to take his own decision and didn't want him to have all the powers. So all of them started demanding this. Okay, so we see who demanded them. Both the parties, you can see Social Democrats, Socialist Revolutionaries, Workers, Peasants, Nationalists, and Jadidists. Now, who are Jadidists? We'll see. As I told you, the liberals, all of them wanted the end of the system. Now, nationalist people are people who really want to work for the nation. They want their nations to grow. And Jadidists were the Muslim reformers in Russia who wanted to modernize Islam. So this everyone was coming in support that now they wanted an end to the autocracy and wanted the ruler to be subject to the parliament. So they wanted him to act in accordance with the rule written down in the constitution. Now, 1904 was a very bad year for the Russian workers. Now, what happened? The prices of essential commodities rose like anything, and whatever wages they earned, they could not support that. In fact, they got 20% less of their income because of the rising prices. Okay. So you see, the second reason for this revolution was the bad economic condition. Prices, essential commodities rose, and their actually real wages, whatever they earned, decreased because of the price rise. So the first reason for the 1905 revolution, you will see, was a demand for constitutional monarchy. They wanted to do away with autocratic ruler. And the second most important thing, and a very horrible year for the workers, was the rises in the essential price rise of the essential goods. Now, because of the price rise and the take home salary was less, the workers started forming associations. Okay, they started forming associations, and one day when four members of an association called Assembly of Russian Workers, they were working in a factory called Putilov Iron Works, they were dismissed from them. That means they were fired from their work. Now, in protest, what happened? 10,000 workers gathered at St. Petersburg and they went on a strike. And what did they demand in that strike? They said, we want our working hours to be reduced. It should be only 8 hours. We want increase in our salaries and wages. And we want improvement in our working condition. So you see here, children, these are some of the reasons which led to the revolution of 1905. Let's recap again. Tsar in Russia was autocrat and enjoyed all the powers, and now all liberals and socialists, peasants, nationalists, jadidists, all were campaigning to make Russia a democratic state that means to be ruled, come under the parliament and work according to the constitution. Second reason was that the rises of essential commodities rose too much and that reduced the take home salary of the workers. So they made associations, and over the next few years about 1 lakh workers went on strike in St. Petersburg, yes, demanding reduction in their working hours and increase in their wages. Now in this procession they were led by a person called Father Gabon. They reached the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, and there they were attacked by police. About 100 workers were killed, and it was a Sunday. So 100 workers were killed, 300 were wounded, and that is why this incident came to be known as Bloody Sunday. So you can see here how they were attacked, the Winter Palace, by the police. Okay, on fire. Now, with this, what happened? Yes, after this event, what happened? That was an aftermath. What happened after this? Strikes all over the country happened. Universities were closed down. Student bodies complained that their fundamental rights have been taken away. Okay, lawyers, doctors, engineers, middle class workers now demanded that they must have a parliament or a Duma. Okay, and we want to do away with the autocratic rule. So this was an important event of 1905 revolution called as Bloody Sunday. Bloody means 100 people were killed and 300 were injured, and being a Sunday it is called as Bloody Sunday. So children, now let us see what happened after the revolt or the revolution of 1905, the Bloody Sunday. What was the impact? Under the pressure of the revolution, now the Tsar Nicholas II allowed people to create a Dumas or a parliament. Okay, the parliament was created, but within 75 days, Tsar Nicholas dismissed it and asked them to elect a second parliament, that is, a second Dumas was elected. Later, he did not wanted to reduce his power, so later he dismissed and the third one was formed. Now, third was one formed by the conservative people who believed in autocratic rule, and liberals and revolutionaries who wanted to do away with autocracy were kept out, and restrictions were, and then unions and the associations that were formed, they were restricted, they were banned, and they made as illegal. So in spite of all that revolution, finally the third Duma was also dismissed. It was now packed with people who supported the autocrat rule. Children, now let us see the impact of the 1905 revolution or the Bloody Sunday. Under pressure from all the workers who had formed unions, now the Tsar Nicholas allowed them to create a parliament or Duma. But Tsar Nicholas did not like anyone questioning his authority or any reduction in his power. So within 75 days, he dismissed the first Duma and formed the second one was elected. Later, even the second one was dismissed and the third one was formed. Now, the third one was not dismissed. What did he do? He packed the third Duma, that means the parliament, with conservative politicians who agreed with his kind of work. Okay, and liberals and revolutionaries who wanted a change were kept out. And he also banned these unions and associations that were formed by workers and peasants. Okay, so this is how he still controlled his power and position. Tsar Nicholas II.